Life often hides the truth behind ordinary faces. Sometimes the quiet person in the room carries the greatest power. Sometimes the person who appears weak is the one holding the entire world together. And sometimes the person we underestimate the most is the one who changes our lives forever. This is the story of Daniel Carter, a man who believed he understood everything about his wife. For 10 years he thought she was simple, quiet, and ordinary. He believed she depended on him. He believed he was the one providing for their life. But Daniel didn't know the truth. The woman he ignored every day, the woman he insulted, the woman he betrayed, secretly owned a $90 billion global real estate empire. And the moment he sold their house for another woman, everything he thought he knew about power, wealth, and marriage came crashing down. Before we begin this unbelievable story, take a moment to subscribe to the channel so you never miss powerful stories about life, betrayal, and karma. Now, let's begin. Daniel Carter considered himself a successful man. At 38 years old, he worked as a mid-level sales manager for a construction company in Chicago. His salary was decent, enough to afford a comfortable suburban house and a decent car. But in Daniel's mind, he deserved more, much more. Every morning, he would wake up frustrated, staring at the ceiling of his bedroom, imagining the life he thought he should have. Luxury cars, penthouse apartments, private jets. He believed the world owed him success. And deep inside, he blamed his wife for the life he didn't have. Her name was Emily Carter. Emily was the complete opposite of Daniel. She was calm, quiet, simple. She rarely argued and often spent her evenings reading books or tending to the small garden behind their house. To Daniel, she seemed boring, too ordinary, too predictable. You never try to improve yourself. Daniel once complained while scrolling through luxury houses on his phone. Emily looked up from her book gently. "I'm happy with a simple life," she said softly. That answer irritated Daniel. Simple life? He didn't want simple. He wanted extraordinary. What Daniel never noticed was that Emily never asked him for money, never complained about their finances, never demanded expensive gifts. She always paid for groceries with her own card. When the car needed repairs, she quietly handled it. When bills arrived, they were always paid on time. Daniel assumed she was simply careful with money. What he didn't realize was something far more shocking. Emily Carter was not ordinary. She was the sole heir to the Whitmore Real Estate Group, one of the largest property empires in the world. For Daniel Carter, the decision felt bold, even exciting. For years, he believed his life had been stuck in mediocrity. Selling the house felt like the first real step toward the life he believed he deserved. A bigger life, a richer life, a life with Vanessa. One morning, while Emily was out grocery shopping, Daniel sat at the dining table with his laptop open. A real estate listing website filled the screen. Their house, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a quiet suburban neighborhood. Estimated value $620,000. Daniel whistled softly. "That's more than enough to start fresh," he muttered. Without thinking twice, he contacted a realtor. Within 2 weeks, the house was listed. Within 3 weeks, a buyer appeared. And within a month, the deal was finalized. Daniel never told Emily. He convinced himself It was fine. After all, the house was under his name on most of the paperwork he handled. Emily never cared about documents or legal matters, or so he believed. The day the sale closed, Daniel met Vanessa at an expensive rooftop restaurant. The city lights glittered beneath them. Vanessa raised her glass of champagne. "Well?" she asked. Daniel grinned proudly. "It's done." Her eyes lit up. "You sold it?" "Yes." Vanessa laughed with excitement and leaned over to kiss him. "You're finally becoming the man I knew you could be." Daniel felt powerful. For the first time in years, he felt like he was taking control of his life. "What about your wife?" Vanessa asked. Daniel shrugged. "I'll handle that later." "What do you mean later?" "I'll tell her the house was sold and that we're getting divorced." Vanessa smirked. "That poor woman." Daniel laughed lightly. He didn't feel guilty, not even a little. What he didn't know was that at that exact moment, miles away in a quiet downtown office building, something unusual was happening. Inside the headquarters of Whitmore Global Holdings, dozens of executives sat around a massive glass conference table. On a giant screen appeared a notification, a property transaction alert. One of the junior analysts frowned. "Sir, there's something strange here." The senior executive looked up. "What is it?" "The property on Maplewood Drive has been sold." The room went silent. "That's impossible," another executive said. "That property belongs to Ms. Whitmore." The analyst nodded nervously. "Yes, that's why it's strange." Within seconds, the room erupted into quiet concern. Maplewood Drive wasn't just any property. It was the private residence of Emily Whitmore, the secret heir to the Whitmore real estate dynasty. And she had never authorized a sale. The CEO of the company, an older man named Richard Lawson, leaned forward slowly. For Daniel Carter, the decision felt bold, even exciting. For years, he believed his life had been stuck in mediocrity. Selling the house felt like the first real step toward the life he believed he deserved. A bigger life, a richer life, a life with Vanessa. One morning, while Emily was out grocery shopping, Daniel sat at the dining table with his laptop open. A real estate listing website filled the screen. Their house, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a quiet suburban neighborhood. Estimated value $620,000. Daniel whistled softly. "That's more than enough to start fresh," he muttered. Without thinking twice, he contacted a realtor. Within 2 weeks, the house was listed. Within 3 weeks, a buyer appeared. And within a month, the deal was finalized. Daniel never told Emily. He convinced himself it was fine. After all, the house was under his name on most of the paperwork he handled. Emily never cared about documents or legal matters, or so he believed. The day the sale closed, Daniel met Vanessa at an expensive rooftop restaurant. The city lights glittered beneath them. Vanessa raised her glass of champagne. "Well?" she asked. Daniel grinned proudly. "It's done." Her eyes lit up. "You sold it?" "Yes." Vanessa laughed with excitement and leaned over to kiss him. "You're finally becoming the man I knew you could be." Daniel felt powerful. For the first time in years, he felt like he was taking control of his life. "What about your wife?" Vanessa asked. Daniel shrugged. "I'll handle that later." "What do you mean later?" "I'll tell her the house was sold and that we're getting divorced." Vanessa smirked. "That poor woman." Daniel laughed lightly. He didn't feel guilty, not even a little. What he didn't know was that at that exact moment, miles away in a quiet downtown office building, something unusual was happening. Inside the headquarters of Whitmore Global Holdings, dozens of executives sat around a massive glass conference table. On a giant screen appeared a notification, a property transaction alert. One of the junior analysts frowned. "Sir, there's something strange here." The senior executive looked up. "What is it?" "The property on Maplewood Drive has been sold." The room went silent. "That's impossible," another executive said. "That property belongs to Ms. Whitmore." The analyst nodded nervously. "Yes, that's why it's strange." Within seconds, the room erupted into quiet concern. Maplewood Drive wasn't just any property. It was the private residence of Emily Whitmore, the secret heir to the Whitmore real estate dynasty, and she had never authorized a sale. The CEO of the company, an older man named Richard Lawson, leaned forward slowly. "Who approved the transaction?" The analyst typed quickly. The answer appeared on screen. "Seller, Daniel Carter." Lawson's eyes narrowed. "Who is Daniel Carter?" Another executive responded quietly. "He's Ms. Whitmore's husband." The room fell into stunned silence. Lawson stood immediately. "Contact Ms. Whitmore." Meanwhile, Emily Carter was standing peacefully in her garden. She wore simple clothes and gloves while trimming a rose bush. The quiet suburban afternoon felt calm and ordinary. Her phone rang. She wiped her hands and looked at the screen. Richard Lawson. Her expression shifted slightly. She answered. "Hello, Richard." "Ms. Whitmore, I apologize for disturbing you." Emily smiled faintly. "You never call unless something is wrong." Lawson hesitated. "There has been a situation regarding your residence." Emily frowned slightly. "My residence?" "Yes. The Maplewood Drive property?" "What about it?" Lawson took a breath. "It was sold this morning." The garden suddenly felt very quiet. Emily blinked. "I'm sorry." "What?" "The house has been sold under the authorization of your husband, Daniel Carter." For a moment, Emily said nothing. Not anger, not shock, just silence. Then she looked slowly at the house behind her, the home she had lived in for 10 years, the home she believed held her marriage together. "I see," she said calmly. Lawson sounded concerned. "Should we stop the transaction immediately?" Emily thought for a moment. Then she shook her head slightly. "No." Lawson seemed surprised. "No? Let it proceed." "But Ms. Whitmore." "Richard." Her voice became calm but firm. "Yes, Ms. Whitmore. I want to see how far this goes." After hanging up, Emily stood quietly for several minutes. Her thoughts moved slowly, not angry, not emotional, just observant. Then she walked back inside the house. Daniel returned home later that evening, feeling triumphant. He walked into the living room and saw Emily sitting calmly on the couch, reading. "You're back," she said. "Yeah." Daniel tried to act normal. Emily closed her book. "How was your day?" "Good." There was a small pause. Then Emily asked softly, "Daniel, did you sell the house?" Daniel froze. For a moment, he looked stunned. Then he forced a laugh. "What are you talking about?" Emily held up her phone. "I received a notification from the property office." Daniel's mind raced. So she knows. Fine. He straightened his posture. "Yes," he admitted. "I sold it." Emily stared at him calmly. "Without telling me?" Daniel shrugged. "It's my house, too." Emily tilted her head slightly. "And why did you sell it?" Daniel hesitated. Then his frustration burst out. "Because I'm tired of this life. Emily remained silent. This boring neighborhood, this small house, this ordinary life. His voice grew louder. I want something bigger, Emily asked quietly. With Vanessa? Daniel's heart skipped. How do you know about her? Emily gave a small, sad smile. Daniel, you stopped hiding it months ago. Daniel suddenly felt defensive. Then you understand why I did it. Do I? Yes. He crossed his arms. You never cared about ambition. You were always happy being average. Emily stood slowly. Then she looked around the house, the living room, the walls, the quiet life she had built. Then she looked back at Daniel. You're right about one thing, she said softly. Daniel smirked. What's that? This life is about to change. Daniel laughed. Good. He had no idea that the biggest change was about to happen to him. Before we continue to the shocking final part, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more powerful life stories about betrayal, hidden wealth, and karma. Because the ending of this story is something Daniel Carter will never forget. Daniel Carter felt free. For the first time in years, he believed his life was finally moving in the direction he deserved. Just 2 days after selling the house, he packed his belongings and moved into a luxurious downtown apartment with Vanessa. The apartment overlooked the entire city skyline. Glass walls, marble floors, a rooftop pool. Vanessa walked through the living room with a huge smile. This is more like it, she said. Daniel poured 2 glasses of wine. I told you things would change. Vanessa clinked her glass against his. To our new life. Daniel felt proud of himself. He had taken control. He had chosen ambition over comfort. And he believed Emily would simply accept the divorce quietly. After all, in his mind, Emily had always been passive and weak. But Daniel was about to learn something shocking. 3 days later, his phone rang while he was relaxing on the couch. Unknown number, he answered casually. Hello, Mr. Daniel Carter? Yes, this is Richard Lawson from Whitmore Global Holdings. Daniel frowned. Whitmore what? I'm calling regarding the property you recently sold on Maplewood Drive. Daniel rolled his eyes. Look, the deal is done. Talk to the realtor. I'm afraid it's more complicated than that. Daniel sat up. What do you mean? Lawson's voice became firm. The property you sold is part of the Whitmore real estate dynasty. Daniel laughed. What are you talking about? It belongs to Emily Whitmore. Daniel felt confused. Emily Carter is my wife. Yes, Lawson replied calmly. She is also the sole owner of Whitmore Global Holdings. Daniel was silent. What? Your wife controls a global real estate empire valued at approximately $90 billion. Daniel started laughing loudly. That's ridiculous. Lawson did not laugh. Mr. Carter, your wife allowed the sale to proceed for personal reasons. However, legally the property never belonged to you. Daniel's smile slowly disappeared. What are you saying? The transaction you authorized is now under legal review. Daniel felt his chest tighten. You're telling me the house wasn't mine? No. It belonged to Ms. Emily Whitmore. Daniel ended the call feeling irritated. There was no way this was true. Emily? A billionaire? Impossible. He turned to Vanessa. You won't believe the crazy call I just got. Vanessa looked curious. What happened? Some guy said Emily owns a $90 billion real estate empire. Vanessa burst out laughing. That quiet woman? Exactly. They both laughed. But the laughter didn't last long. The next morning, the news exploded across financial media. Every major business channel carried the headline, "Whitmore Empire Heir Revealed After Unauthorized Property Sale." Daniel froze while watching the television. On the screen appeared a familiar face. Emily, but she didn't look like the quiet housewife he knew. She was sitting confidently in a massive corporate office. Behind her were the logos of dozens of international companies. The reporter spoke. Emily Whitmore, long rumored to be the hidden heir of the Whitmore real estate dynasty, has finally appeared publicly after an unusual property dispute involving her husband, Daniel Carter. Daniel's mouth went dry. Vanessa stared at the screen in shock. That's your wife. Emily began speaking calmly during the interview. For many years I chose to live privately, she said. I wanted a normal life away from wealth and public attention. The reporter asked, Is it true your husband sold your residence without your knowledge? Emily paused slightly. Yes. And how did that make you feel? Emily looked directly at the camera. Sometimes people reveal who they truly are when they believe you have nothing to offer. Daniel felt his stomach twist. Vanessa slowly turned toward him. You never told me your wife was a billionaire. I didn't know. Vanessa stood up suddenly. This changes everything. Daniel felt panic rising. What do you mean? Vanessa grabbed her bag. I didn't sign up for this kind of drama. What? You're about to get destroyed in court. Daniel tried to stop her. Vanessa, wait. But she was already walking toward the door. Find another apartment, she said coldly. I'm not going down with you. The door slammed behind her. Daniel stood alone in the massive apartment. The life he thought he had built was collapsing. And it got worse. Over the next week, legal notices flooded his phone and email. The property sale was declared invalid. The buyer demanded compensation. The real estate agency sued him for fraud, and Emily filed for divorce. Daniel finally requested a meeting with her. They met in a massive glass skyscraper downtown, the headquarters of Whitmore Global Holdings. Daniel had never seen anything like it. Dozens of luxury cars, security guards, executives walking quickly through marble halls. A receptionist guided him to the top floor. When the elevator doors opened, he stepped into a gigantic office. And there she was, Emily, standing beside the window overlooking the entire city. But she was different now. Confident, powerful, a CEO. Daniel walked forward slowly. You never told me. Emily turned calmly. You never asked. Daniel felt overwhelmed. All these years, you were a billionaire. Emily nodded slightly. Yes. Why hide it? Emily answered quietly. Because I wanted to know if someone could love me without my money. Daniel felt ashamed. And now you know. Emily looked at him steadily. Yes. Daniel tried to speak. I made a mistake. Emily didn't respond. I thought you were ordinary. Emily gave a small smile. That was the point. Daniel's voice shook. Can we fix this? Emily walked to the table and placed a folder in front of him. Divorce papers. No, she said gently. Some decisions can't be undone. Daniel felt his chest tighten. You're ruining my life. Emily looked at him calmly. No, Daniel. You ruined it yourself. She paused for a moment before adding one final sentence. You sold the house for your mistress, but you forgot one thing. Daniel looked up. What? Emily spoke quietly. You were never the owner. Security escorted Daniel out of the building. Outside, he stood alone on the sidewalk. The city looked different now. Cold, unforgiving. Within months, Daniel lost his job due to the scandal. The lawsuits drained his finances. Vanessa never returned. Meanwhile, Emily Whitmore returned too, quietly running one of the largest real estate empires in the world, stronger, wiser, and finally free from the man who never truly saw her. And that is the story of the man who believed his wife was ordinary, until he sold a house that belonged to a $90 billion empire. If you enjoyed this powerful story about betrayal, hidden wealth, and karma, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more incredible life lessons and dramatic stories. Because sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one who owns the entire building.